Hello, this is Neil, the art instructor at masterpaintingnow.com. The link to the website is in the description. Click on it for more free tutorials. Right, so in this lesson, we're going to learn about how to draw hentai. First thing, just before we get started drawing, hentai is basically provocative manga. Manga being the still imagery, and anime being animated imagery like cartoons, and manga being like comics. So the point of hentai then is to provoke the imagination to sexuality. So it takes more than just drawing, a certain body type to do hentai, which is basically sexy manga. And it can be anywhere from like nudity to tentacle porn to like clothed, something like this here, which is clothed, but still it's provocative, and so it's hentai, and it provokes your imagination towards sexuality. And so that really comes down to the pose you choose. Let's go ahead and do a pose here. I'm going to kind of tilt the head this way. And I've come to really like this kind of, when I do a head, to kind of do like a rectangle. Just, I don't know, it helps me personally. I know I'm doing a manga body, so I'm going to really push. Well, before I even get into that, first I want the gesture line. So I really want to push this body outward and then down. Boom, and down like this. This is the, I even want to push that more. Really push the center line out and then down. Get that nice S curve in there. At this stage, I'm really just going for feeling. Gesture is going for the feeling of the pose more than it is going for accuracy. Now about how long the neck's going to be, I kind of want the shoulder, coming up like this. And maybe the hand coming down like this. And we're going to have large breast. Typical of hentai is, really large, bubbly, smushy breast on a very lean body, very thin neck and all that. Basically, a manga body type or anime, however you want to look at it. The arms will be going back and disappearing. I still want to draw through the form to get an idea where the arm's going. I think the arm's going back there somewhere, like that. So that arm's going back in a perspective. This arm's coming toward us. I think this arm's going to come down. And what I'm thinking it's going to do is it's going to smash maybe the boob more, to where the breast comes out more this way. I really want to continue with this, and I want to pull the rib cage very tiny with manga. And so with hentai, you're using like a manga body type, so you really want to pull that rib cage, make it small. This still being the center line here. This is being where the collarbone goes. And really to, draw this kind of stuff from imagination, or even from reference, it really takes, I believe it takes a good understanding of anatomy, of the human figure. And there's many places to learn that from online, some of them being free sources, some of them being paid sources. A lot of people recommend my courses, say that a lot of people say they're the best out there, especially for the price. But that's up to you. Just you got to learn it somehow. However you learn it, doesn't matter where. Just that you learn anatomy. The breast here, it's going up into the deltoid, right? So I have the center line in the sternum. I imagine the rib cage is in here, and we're going to see mostly front, the front view of the rib cage in here. Not really seeing the side view. I can go back and erase that line. I imagine that line, so just I want you to know how I'm imagining the lines here. I don't always have to draw it. I can just imagine it and know that's where the rib cage is at. So it comes down here. Might make her breast a little too big, but we'll see. I still want the breast lying on the rib cage and then coming up. So I still want to stay, kind of realistic to the dynamics of the breast, the mechanics of how they work. Right, so that center line's to come down here. You have the belly button somewhere in here. And then we're going to shift this way. I'm going to have this kind of longer shape here, rib cage come this way, before we get into the hips. the love handles, and then the hips will be in here. This is going to be the iliac crest then coming down here and coming across over here. This is kind of like the stomach. I'm trying to draw all this out, and this is an overlapping form of the hip here, iliac crest coming down. Then you have the center pelvic region down here. Again, to be able to know all this already, I'm just showing you how is it you draw hentai, and hentai is, think up a pose that's sexy, that's provoking something, provoking some sort of thought, where some sort of sexual thought is really what you're trying to provoke, and how do you provoke that sexual thought with the pose that you're choosing? And that's what this is all about here. So I'm not going to go too much into anatomy and all that kind of stuff, and the reason why I'm not, I'll have the neck come down. The collarbone come out this way to the shoulder, and then the breast will kind of go down here and connect again. Is because this is a more like advanced subject, and so that's basic fundamental knowledge. So basically, to draw hentai from imagination, or even from reference, but mainly from imagination, you want to have a good understanding of anatomy of the human figure. So you have to take courses on it, whether you look at my you can check out my course on my website. I'll even link to it I think I'll link to it in the description. But either way, you have to learn it somewhere. Doesn't matter where you learn it, just learn it. It's important. Alright, so what I'm focusing on here is the pose. I'm thinking, what can the hand be doing to further insinuate sexuality? There's all kinds of things we can do to this. I really want to kind of smash this boob up here, which is going to bring the nipple more over here. This nipple is going to be more of a side view, somewhere in here. We're going to put clothes on her, but for now I'm just sketching the figure. So next, the legs attached. So remember, you have the iliac crest here. You have the love handles attached to the top portion of that, right? And then the bottom portion of it, the legs attached to. So now we're attaching the legs. Remember, off the iliac crest comes your humerus bone, which comes out like this, and then comes down. You have your humerus bone. Comes out first, and then down, right? That gives us the widest part. That right there is the widest part of the hips, or of the human figure. It's not part of the hips, but it's the widest part of the female body. So we're going to push this out, and this is often a body type that's used in this sort of thing. Then we'll have this one really kind of maybe plump out here. And so basically what you're trying to do here is you're really trying to think of ways to make the poses more sexual, to really, how do you really push that sexuality out there? You can stop right here, that'd be fine actually. So what kind of fingers are we doing to ensued sexuality? Let's see here. Since our arm's kind of coming straight down, which I think works, it's cool. Maybe more of a side view of the arms, so you have the elbow there, and then you have the bicep stopping, and the brachialis and brachyradialis coming in between here and making that kind of shape. Elbow. If that's the case, then if the elbow is facing the outside, shows you twist your arm, then the thumb would be facing the inside. That side over there, that shoulder is rolling back and away from us, so we can't see it. We might be able to see a little bit of the shoulder like that, and that's it. So you got to think about the three-dimensionality again. For that kind of explanation, if you're still confused on that sort of stuff, you definitely want to get some sort of anatomy book and or just figure drawing book or my course or something. I don't want to sound like I'm, pushing my course, so I'll let other people do that for me. I'm just saying that it's there if you want to check it out. Right now, once you have this part down, you can start sketching and clothing and stuff like that. We can also, decide on a facial expression and the face. And what's typical of manga is you have like a really pointy kind of face. And so since hentai is mainly manga, put that in there. Typically really big eyes. And if you do big eyes, it's actually still a wider head. More like a doll head. What I don't want to do is draw the eyes too far apart. That's what I'm being careful not to do here. Often you just don't connect the bottom, the bottom line all the way. You might have a little bit of under eyelashes. I always think it's sexy when the lady's not really looking at you, but she's looking like up and away. Give this kind of, innocent look, which can be provocative in itself in its own way. I'm still deciding what kind of clothing she's going to have. And I decide that, and I think about it as I'm drawing anime. Usually, anime and manga usually have really thin noses. There's different styles, so it's up to you what style you choose. You can do more like a really basic mouth like this. It's like happy fun. You can get more serious too. You can do more detailed type of mouth. I mean, it's up to you. You can just do like a simple mouth like this too. Something like that. We can even get bigger lips with it. Kind of have more lips, more like getting more into the comic-y type lips. That all right there gives you a new kind of style, basically. Start on lighting. Actually, I'm not gonna, sometimes I'll just have this whole part of the nose in shadow, maybe. We'll get in the hair in a second. So, clothing. What am I gonna do for clothing? Sometimes I think this is kind of sexy, where maybe she has a shirt on. Make sure you wrap around the arm. The shirt, wraps all around the arm, so it's like you're drawing through the form. Right? Have a bunch up there. Maybe even it has a neck to it. Right, and then we're gonna have the shirt just barely coming down. Oops. Like that, like it's... This way the boob's just like barely coming out of the shirt. We'll kind of hint at the nipple here. So you can see how with the clothing you can really sorry, I lost train of thought. You can really add a lot of sexuality with clothing. So I'm doing the shading kind of coming really hard from the right, but also to where it's coming a little bit toward us too. Depending whether or not that's the kind of mouth I want. Just remember, you can always go back and change stuff. You know, you don't have to be set to a certain thing as you're designing something. You know, drawing whatever it is, you can go back and change it. You know, you don't have to feel like, oh, I spent that much time in the mouth, so I don't want to change it. You can change it anytime you want. Oftentimes manga has like this kind of like more spiky hair. No matter what kind of hairstyle it is, it seems like it's more like spiky. So right now I'm thinking about the hair. What's the hair going to be doing? Hair is usually the least thing I think about when it comes to sexuality, though. I mean, there are, you know, different hairstyles that work for different people, what they find sexy, so. This is the underside of a curve of a hair right here. Now I gotta show the part of the hair that's like visible. Try to show with the shadow. I'm gonna try to show just like hint at definition that there's some sort of you know, shape going on in here, inner shape. She kind of has that ditzy blonde thing going for her, you know, which works for some people. So I don't know, I think I'm just gonna hint at the ribs. So if I have the light coming from the right hand side mostly, you gotta think about the belly button. How's it gonna work? So first of all the belly button's a hole. But what side's receiving the light? Well, you have your belly, right? You have two different sides here. That is the anatomy of the belly. If you think about it, it's kind of like you have two, like a dip, like M dip, like here. That's like the form, almost like two cylinders. So this would be shadowed, and this would be shadowed, right? So you got to think about how much detail you want. This is what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about the form as I'm doing the shadow. So I know I'm gonna have a shadow coming up this side. I might have a little bit of shadow. Actually, I'm gonna have this whole area here in shadow. Put the whole rib cage in shadow. Maybe kind of show the rib cage there a little bit. Come down. Come back up. Show this like belly portion here. Typically manga hands are simple. I got sidetracked. I often do. Her hand's a little bit large, even though it's coming toward us. Doing forced perspective there. I still think because I was zoomed in too much, I drew the hand a little bit too big, so a little bit smaller like that. Yeah, it might even be more sexy if we would have had made less the hips less toward us, but that's okay. One thing that's really sexy is when you have almost like the panties are like pulled down a bit. Make them wrap around the form. Wrap around the form here. No, let's go make it more petite. Crotch area here. They're still covering that form. They're being all bunched up right here though. That's where the butt comes out, then the leg. You have that inner serratus muscle comes out like this. Comes over like that. So that's going to give us this shadow on this side of the leg. This is going to be the darker shadow because we're going to have more tone here. Because still the light's hitting the outside there. And then we're going to come down, kind of show that part of the belly. And we'll come over here. Just doing quick like shading, just do straight lines. I usually do an angle direction. I don't know if I want to show the overlapping of form that much. I definitely want to overlap the form a little bit. Let me come back in here a little bit and show some backlighting over there. I definitely want to show some of this form coming up here with darker shadow. That's that crotch area. And also coming up here. Now we're still showing that shadow of the leg. Remember, this is a separate form as it gets into the leg. So we're doing another shadow here to show this separation form. I'm going to go ahead and give. Typically, manga and hentai is really simple with shading. Just one shadow shade. Usually not more than one. Every once in a while more than one, but usually not. This shadow I'm just going to kind of come down like that and disappear. since the whole drawing is kind of, vanishing. So that's kind of sexy. Show a little bit part of the form of the thumb there. I kind of want to show this part of the breast here. Show its roundness underneath the shirt. Show some shadow kind of between the boobs a little bit to show that they are indeed round and in the shirt. Let's make it more round. Get more at the nipples maybe. It's a pretty tight shirt. Alright, so you have it. I'm going to kind of have this leg coming forward more, I think. Yeah, it's kind of like coming towards a little bit. Of course, it would be more sexual as if this arm kind of bent down, do the measurements, and then came back up. Sometimes it's easier to actually think about where you want the hands, so hinting at sexuality here. I think maybe the thumb should be more tucked in. Something like that. That arm's in the background. Then I just go around and look for places that I can improve the drawing. And then maybe I'll, redraw it all over again from the beginning and restructure it and everything, make sure everything looks the way I want it to. But yeah, so anyway, that's how you go about, drawing hentai. I know it's like, well, it's kind of like a more of a, draw along with me type of thing. How, so how do you get to the point where I got to where you can like draw that, whether it be from reference or from imagination, how you get to the point where you can do that? It all comes from, in my opinion, knowing the human form, knowing the human figure. So you gotta get like a book on figure drawing, or get my $19 course on figure drawing. Anatomy is really important too. Understanding where the muscles go, where they connect to, and all that really helps you draw from imagination tremendously. And that I recommend my 65-hour course. I know again some people say it sounds like a commercial, but I'm just saying that's fundamental knowledge. Basically, to get to this point here where you can draw this kind of stuff from imagination, first you have to be able to know the basics. You have to know light and form, and you have to know the human anatomy and the figure. So it's like trying to teach how to draw hentai to somebody that doesn't have that basic knowledge already. It's like trying to teach calculus to something that hasn't learned algebra. So you have to learn the fundamentals first. I can't stress it enough. But anyway, nonetheless, if you have those fundamentals down, then this is how you go about it. You think about what's a sexy pose I can do that's provocative. You can even get more provocative with this. You can take her hand, her whole arm here, right? But before I get sidetracked, it's taking imagery and making it provocative. That's really what hentai is all about. That's how you go about learning to draw it, and that's how you draw it. Make it provocative imagery. So let's say I want her hand to be here, so I kind of know where I want the hand to be, and so then the elbow is going to be here, and the arm's going to come down. Here in the hand, not sure exactly what the thumb's going to be doing yet, something like that. But the hand, it's going to be tucking under at that finger like that. Those fingers tucking under. Come back in, erase all this. Then you come in and start adding in the detail. So now we took this whole image, made it way more provocative. It's by simply changing the, that's kind of a fucked up looking hand, but well, it kind of gets the job done. It's changing the whole dynamic of the image, to add these two kind of like sexuality, the way she's touching her body, suddenly makes the pose that much more provocative. And that's what hentai is all about. It's about provoking sexuality in the mind. And they can be fully clothed like this, and therefore it's still acceptable for a non-nudity audience, but is very provocative. And you're kind of like basically pushing the borders. So that's like one kind of hentai is what we drew here is pushing those borderlines to the limits, like pushing rated R to the limits. You actually show titties in rated R. So you're maybe pushing something very similar to rated R to the limits. And then you can also get into just downright nudity, and that's something totally different. Like hentai that has just straight nudity in it. But still, even with that, the point is to provoke sexuality into the, if it's anime, into the watcher, or into the reader if it's manga or something, or just imagery, so just a poster or something. But that's the whole point of it. So think of a pose in action mainly. What action can a girl do with her face or body that would provoke some sort of sexuality? And you can also, think about the body and how should the body look, because the body can also provoke sexuality. This kind of body provokes a different kind of sexuality than if you were to, pump it up maybe bigger with bigger hips and bigger everything, more lifelike, maybe really big thighs like this one over here. So hopefully this really helps you draw hentai or provocative kind of sexuality stuff better. Again, it's knowing the fundamentals first, and then it's taking those fundamentals and applying them. And when you apply them, you come up with, in this case, hentai sexual imagery. So think of different poses that would lead to sexuality, and usually it's the way the person's, twisting their hips and pushing their hips out or showing their ass from a certain angle, kind of bending over or touching themselves, even though they have clothes on. Their facial expression can really change and make things look a lot more, provocative. You can give them more sexual eyes if you wanted to and stuff like that. So hope you watch this, horse you watch this. Hope you enjoyed this video, this lesson, and if you have, please go ahead and hit the share button and share it with your Facebook friends and your other social networks like maybe Google Plus or Dig, or there's a whole bunch of them. If you have any requests that you would like to see for a future tutorial or lesson here free on my YouTube channel, please let me know. I'd be more than willing to do that for you. If I feel like the subject is cool enough, I'll go a full real-time drawing like this one here, because I think you can learn a lot from me just talking while I'm going through it, kind of, and hopefully it does teach something other than just the how to draw manga. And I want it to be more of a lesson than just here watch me draw and stuff. So yeah, but if you would like to make a request, just go ahead and put it in the comments there. If I see something that looks really cool, an idea for a lesson looks really cool, then I'll either do it here in the YouTube channel or I'll do it in the VIP, in which you can sign up for free on my website. You just go to my website and you'll see there VIP lessons. Click on that. You just put your email in, and then I will send you an email, and it'll have VIP in front of it, and then that's how you know it's from me. Just remember that you signed up for it, so that you go like, hey, what the hell is this shit? Why I keep getting these lessons, these free lessons? So just know that if you sign up for it, you'll get free lessons. I try to do it once a week, but sometimes it's 2 weeks. Sometimes I lag a little bit. But all right, thank you for watching.